Good morning, welcome. Well, Feast of All Saints in this tradition, and sometimes we think of saints as only those people who have died, and their deeds are remembered to us, and maybe perhaps even interceding for us. But we also consider that all of us have a bit of sainthood in us, and it gets acted out in many different ways. And the Christian Formation Committee was thinking about who from our community indeed are the saints among us. And Gail Keck made the call to each of you, and thank you, Gail, for that work and getting them here, and they're all here on time, and look at that, amazing.
They were early.
And they, okay, great. Can I give you the privilege of introducing everyone?
Absolutely. Thank you. This morning, we welcome 3 charitable organizations from the Cashers community. We have Big Brothers Big Sisters Community Care Clinic and Fishes and Loaves Food Pantry. And they are also grant recipients from our outreach committee. So we welcome you this morning, and Larry Morris would like to go first. He's fighting a little bad cold and he wants to make his presentation. And so Larry, you have the floor.
Well, first of all, I apologize if I won't shake your hand because I don't want to spread the cold that I seem to have gotten from my daughter and grandchildren this past week. But I am very honored and pleased to be here, and we want to, on behalf of Fishes and Loaves, we want to thank you for your continued support, whether it is financial or through the volunteers that you send us when it is your month and at other times. We have been so blessed throughout the years. No matter what challenge we have faced, whether it's COVID, whether it's whatever, lack of food, God has provided abundantly for us to make sure that we were able to feed those people in our community. There are a lot of things that we are doing and looking at for the future. Starting in January, we're going to add to the back of the Fishes and Loaves, we're going to add about 15 to 20 feet to the back of it. Part of this is precipitated because the flooring is falling in on the inside of the building. And our freezers are sinking. So we are going to build a new concrete pad behind it, move the freezers and the cooler back there, and then tear out all the flooring inside the food pantry. And we're going to put a concrete base down so we never have to deal with this problem again. That should happen after the first of the year. Will probably take between 3 and 6 months. We're also going to add, we're going to rebuild the ramp and cover it because the times we need it the most are in the winter. And when it gets snow and icy on there, it gets very dangerous. One of the most important things throughout this process that we were looking at is how can we serve our neighbors that come to food pantry better? We have been in a process of changing. When I first came to Fishes and Loaves, basically the process was somebody would come in, they would let us know their name, know how many people in their family, and we would give them a box of food and send them on their way. We changed a lot. COVID helped us to change some things, learn some things, but we've also seen the importance of selection. As we all know, we're used to going to the grocery store and picking what we want. Fishes and Loaves is moving and has been moving towards more selection for our neighbors. We're under a little different auspices because of our relationship with Manna and the food we get through the federal government. We have to account for that, so it's a little bit more tricky to do. But we will be moving towards that. So majority of what we do will be more shopping experience. With that, it takes a lot more room. If y'all have ever been in the food pantry, the front lobby is very small. We get more than 3 people in there. Probably that's about the maximum we can handle. So we're looking to probably double that or triple that size. And that would allow us for people to do shopping. And we'll assign individuals from the churches to help with that individual as they shop and take more ownership of that individual. So there's some exciting people that we serve. And we continue to value your relationship and support as we get there. People ask about, well, how are you going to pay for all this addition? It's about $250,000. We applied for our Golden Leaf grant with the federal government, which was an arduous process. You had to do 3 applications before you could do a final application. The more I got into it, I wasn't so sure we wanted to do it anymore. But anyway, that did not play out, and they decided they would not fund us. Good news is some other organizations have stepped up and provided grants. We got a $50,000 grant not too long ago for that specific purpose. We also have been blessed over the years. We have acquired money through organizations, through grants and things, and accumulating that. We have very little expenses other than food. No one is paid. And I have been blessed to work with some of the finest people, whether they're on the board or the churches. We have 11 churches that support us on a continuous basis. They take a month. And that makes a world of difference for us in helping our neighbors. So we're going to be doing a lot more things to be more hands-on. One of the things that we will probably be doing, and I'm hoping to do, is more interaction where we invite other organizations, which is what you're seeing today, to come and speak to our people on one of our nights that we're open, to give them some ideas and understanding of other resources they may have available to them. Food pantries were started many years ago to combat food insecurity. Well, we've become efficient, but not necessarily effective. We still have a high percentage of people that do not have access to food, cannot afford it. If you go to the grocery store today, it's a world of difference from a year ago. Our expenses are up about 3 times what we're having to purchase. And the number of people we're seeing is increasing. The whole purpose of the food pantry was kind of being a supplement or a safety net for people. And we are that for some people, but a percentage of them depend on us for their very existence. And so we have tried to do some things to expand that, to make sure that we're providing nutritious. A lot of different organizations. We have some farmers that bring us food. We have some local businesses, such as the Elevation Kitchen that donates their biscuits to us that they don't sell. And Charlie's Hot Buns, he brings us stuff. So there are a lot of organizations and different groups of people that help us to make sure that we have a variety of things for people to select from. But we've been more than blessed, and we will continue to do that with your help. And we certainly appreciate this opportunity to talk to you about that. And for you to be on the cusp of what we're going to be doing is going to be different. When you come, next year, I hope to see major changes in how we conduct our business and how we are reaching out and supporting the people, our neighbors in our community. So I thank you for that opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you.
How many families are you serving now?
Probably on any given night, we're serving about 35 families a night. We end up giving out about 50 to 60 boxes each night of food. And I'd say, and that has stayed consistent for some time now. We certainly, our goal was never to see us have to increase. This will be the 3rd addition to the food pantry since I've been affiliated with it from the first building. And we certainly wish there wasn't a need, but there is, and we have a responsibility and a calling as Christians to reach out to these people and to continue to support them and help them.
Thank you.
What is the, and it may have been woven in what you said, but I'm wondering what you consider the biggest challenge
You know, right now, and it has changed over the time. Food, you know, most of the food that we get, we're blessed because we have a relationship with Ingles. We're able to purchase some food through Ingles. We also get a lot of our food through Manna at a lower cost, which really maximizes our dollars. But a lot of the challenges have been meat in particular. Us securing meat we have had in the past, we were concerned we would run out of meat. The orchard stood up, talked to their people, and they ended up buying a bunch of chicken and different things for us. We've had other organizations that have done that when we were in need. The good news is we're starting to see a little bit more movement. We are blessed to be one of the few food pantries that most food pantries have two problems. They don't have enough volunteers and they don't have money. That has never been our problem. We always thought that if we had enough money that we could purchase what we needed in the event of a major catastrophe in our community and whatever. Well, COVID taught us that just because you had money doesn't mean you can buy it. We're not gonna sell it to you. We have a bit of a challenge now in that we normally do two special distributions or three special distributions each year. We do Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. Well, this year, and each year has been a challenge as to how to get food for that many people. We end up giving about 200 turkeys out a year. Ingles has worked with us in the past. Unfortunately, corporate is not letting them work with us now on that particular issue. I don't know why. So we have been told that we can go through and purchase, and then he's gonna have to reorder. Well, I'm not too anxious to take all the turkeys from our Ingles when we all need them as well. So we're working with them. We're trying to spread that out. We're trying to do what we can do. We did vote, we're gonna do the the Thanksgiving distribution. We're gonna make that happen, and we're having to purchase turkeys more at your price than a discounted price. But we're not sure we're gonna be able to do a Christmas distribution. That's still up in the air until we see how this goes. So, anybody like to donate turkeys, we'd be more than happy to take them.
That's what I wanted to hear. Turkeys, you got it. You got it.
That's our biggest immediate need that we have, and we certainly value that time to help people to celebrate Thanksgiving. Okay.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for your service and your ministry. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
All right, Danielle or Fabio, who wants to go next? All right,
You're closer to the podium.
Danielle. Danielle Hernandez from Big Brothers Big Sisters, and she is the senior program coordinator.
So actually, my title has changed again. I'm gonna take you to work. If you wanna take one and pass it, and I'll start this way, and have you just take one. So, hey, you were gonna be working today, did you? Alright. So, yes, I am Danielle Hernandez. I am the program director for our 6 westernmost counties.
Oh.
So this is, thank you. But I do have a very strong focus and emphasis here in Cashiers and Highlands, in Jackson County. So this is my home, this is my baby. And so, that was definitely, you know, a deciding factor. Can I stay here? So yes. So as many of you know, we are a one-to-one mentoring organization. So I'm going to define exactly what that means by starting and explaining what we're not. We're not Boys and Girls Club. We're not Boys and Girls Club. So we don't do after-school tutoring, group tutoring or anything like that here in Cashiers and Highlands. What we do is we pair an adult mentor or sometimes a high school big mentor with a younger child, and they go out and about in the community and they explore the child's interests. Sometimes that can also look like one-on-one tutoring once a week at the school as well. So we are providing some tutoring academic services, but not in that group format that you would typically see a Boys and Girls Club. So while I love being congratulated on a beautiful building, it's not ours, sorry. So The other question we get a lot is, well, where is your office? So anytime you see me or you see Courtney Scarborough, who is our new program coordinator here on the plateau, that is our office. We are our office. And the great thing about not having brick and mortar is we have so much flexibility in how we can serve our clients, which is super advantageous because we can do more group events. We can go off the plateau to expose the kids to new experiences. And it just allows us to be so much more flexible in meeting their needs. So I personally enjoy that. I promise you, I really do not work out the back of my car.
That's what you told us.
So I do have a lot of stuff in the back of my car though, like those brochures. But we have been very fortunate to be recipients of your generosity here at the church. And that has helped us be able to reach more children across the plateau, which, as you know, is incredibly important now. The mental health status, the social emotional development, all of that has been such a hard hit since COVID came in. And so it's incredibly for us to make here in Cashers and Highlands both. So right now we are working on building our high school bigs programming through Summit Charter, which as of this last Friday, we have, including the kiddos that I need to interview, which is 11. We have 15 high school bigs through Summit Charter. And so we're working very closely with them to identify some of the littles that we can pair them with. We are also revamping that programming through Blue Ridge School. And for the first time in 5 years that I have been with the program, we now have an Enwick Highlands school too. That's a big deal. So we're gonna be, working with the high school kids and the younger children at all of our area schools to make sure that they have access to that support. So that'll look like a school-based relationship. So the high school kids will work with the younger ones on their academics, and then they'll explore a little bit more of their interests and spend time on that as well each week. The great thing about this program specifically though, is for our high school kids, they're getting the programming from us as well. But we're also looking at additional opportunities for scholarships once they complete their senior year. We're also providing references, we're providing graduation cords, all the great things that come with just being involved. And especially through Summit, they require so much community service time. So we're able to sign off on those as well. So they're getting all the little check marks for their time and their service, but can't forget to mention the leadership and the accountability, the life skills, the communication, all those pieces.
Can you tell us how you select the little, like what, for the people that you pair up?
Like, how are they referred?
Yeah, or like what kind of children are the ones that you usually work with?
Yeah, so a lot of the kids that we're working with are the children of families who are going to the food pantry, who are needing the services of the community care clinic. They're facing adversity in a lot of different ways, and that can look very different, as you know, from an instance where we recently had a child who is coming from a background of abandonment and abuse, or has been witness to abuse. And then there's my little sister who's not necessarily coming from that background. She's in a large family, and so she doesn't have that one-on-one focused time to herself to be able to talk through things, to be able to figure out what are my next steps. And so that's a different type of support, may not necessarily be facing adversity, but she still needs that layer of support. It just varies so much, but a lot of times the kids are referred by teacher referrals, council referrals. I've recently started working with the DJJ, so the Department of Juvenile Justice, so we're getting referrals from there as well. And sometimes we even have self-referrals, just parents reaching out, especially if the kids are talking to each other about their experiences. They find out how much fun it is to be engaged with a pig. So here in Cashers, I'm gonna call out our guys in the room for just a few minutes. We have 9 boys who have been waiting for a big for a year or more. I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute. We do have several girls who are also waiting. But the need is great. Cashers alone, there's 11 kids who are waiting, and 9 of them are boys. And that seems to be the trend across our region as well. So again, the generosity from our community is great, very much like you said, with, you know, being able to have the funding to do certain things, to provide the programming and things like that. But our biggest need right now is just finding bigs, and especially male mentors. That is the hardest thing. And that is, you know, our biggest need right now, at the forefront of everything else, just getting these boys supported, getting our kids supported across the plateau. So, yes, ma'am.
So let's say somebody is interested, how do you connect them? You know, what's the process to connect them with a little?
Funny you should
I mean, other than signing up, you know, there's also.
This is step
another-
one.
Lots of steps.
Yeah, there's quite a few steps, but the reason why we run our volunteers through the ringer is to make sure that you are safe. Because first and foremost is child safety. So we like to get a very well-rounded, solid picture of who you are, what you're bringing to the table. Carol can attest to this, Eleanor can attest to this as well, as to what this process would look like. But we spend about an hour to an hour and a half with you, asking you all your deepest, darkest secrets. We start from birth and come all the way to where you are now. Just about. Then we make you sign a whole lot of papers too. No, but we do spend some time with you, asking you some very deep questions, just to, you know, figure out again what your interests are, what your skills are, why you feel like this is something that you want to do. We run references. Our national organization requires 3, we do 4, sometimes more. We also do multi-layered background checks. So we're looking at your DMV records, we're looking at sex offender registries, basic criminal background checks, all of those things. We eventually compile all that together and it's submitted to our national office, not our national office, our regional office. And they make the final decision as to whether or not a volunteer is approved. After you're approved, then we train you. Then I'll bring the information from your interview and the little and parents interview to the table, and I'll see, okay, what can I put together here to make this a strong, meaningful relationship? Do you mind if I put you on the spot? Can you describe a little bit about what that looks like whenever you got the call that said, hey, I have a potential little for you?
Well, I started off with a mentor program that was started at Toxway and then became a big through Transylvania County when they opened up down there. But I've been with my little for going on 5 years and started with her in the 8th grade. And we meet once a week at Rosamond High School. And I took her to go, she's a senior now. I took her to go, we looked at Western Carolina and she's applying there and she's applying at App State. And I'll get all choked up because I'm gonna miss her a lot. But she and I, I'm a big sister to her and I'm helping her with her college applications. Actually doing a reference, I'm doing a thing for National Honor Society scholarship. I'm doing a reference for her and she's amazing. She is she's the captain of the cheerleading team. She plays the flute in the band. And she's a straight A student. So she's a good kid. She really is. And I enjoy every moment that I have with her. It's good.
I would say the same for me as well. I just had lunch with my Ellie the other day. That was the first time we were able to connect in a while. And it was like no time had passed. It was fantastic. But yeah, we look at those commonalities. We try to find the most effective matches possible because again, if we're working with a child who's coming from a history of abandonment, the last thing we want to do is put them in a situation that's going to happen again. We don't want to add to their trauma, right? So we do try to find as many common factors. We do a presentation to you as the big. If you're like, yeah, this sounds great, then we'll do the same thing with the parent and then bring everybody together to make the match official.
Typically, Danielle, how often do you interact?
So if you are doing a school-based situation, you're going to be with them for an hour once a week during the school day. If you do a community-based situation, it's about 2 to 4 hours twice a month. So the commitment time is very minimal. but the impact is enormous. It's enormous. My match, for example, is very atypical in how often we get together because she's working, she's got school, she's got sports, all of the things that come with the teenage world at 17, right? Plus she has her driver's license. I have a child, I work, I've got, those evening time responsibilities myself. So we're getting together about once a month, maybe once every 6 weeks or so. We just get together, shoot the breeze, have a good time, have food together. And that's enough for us. That works for us. So it doesn't have to, necessarily meet that every 2 weeks you're getting together. This is what we're doing. But that effort is huge. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us about some of the events that you organize?
She's
Sort of.
testing.
She's next.
I'm taking note. It's okay.
I'm on the board, that's why I'm asking.
She's a
Just to
planner.
let them know what sort of events the organization itself plans so that bigs and littles can have, events to do together.
I'm gonna invite you to talk about Del Nino here shortly, actually. So Del Nino is one big one that we do, but a lot of the programming that we offer our kids and bigs to come out and participate in, we will also invite families to come out. We'll also invite community members who are interested to come out. But they're very educationally based. We have a program called Big Futures, and that's all about building life skills. And I'm very proud to say that is the brainchild of Cashers Highlands. And it is now a national initiative. Yes. So very, very proud to say that. And I'm trying to think of the most recent one we did.
The grocery shop.
The grocery shopping thing. So Uncomplicated Kitchen is another organization out of Cullowhee. And they're all about bringing folks from food insecurity to food security, whether that's meaning you have no food to having food, or you have food but don't know what to do with it. So we have to be able to cook it in order to get that nutritional value as well, right? So they have been really wonderful in working with us to, like this most recent activity, we started at the grocery store. We talked about nutritional values of in-season produce. We also highlighted budgeting around in-season buying. We went from the grocery store over to the United Methodist Church, and we started from scratch and made a Mediterranean sheet pan meal, which is great for weeknight meals when you're a busy family, right? The kids did everything from start to finish. They actually kicked us out and were like, y'all just tell us what to do. So the kids were doing their knife skills. They were learning how to season things effectively without going too overboard. And just really getting in there and figuring out how do we manipulate this whole parsnip to what we're gonna put on our plates. They loved it. They tried new things that they had never tried before. And they walked away and they were like, yeah, I think I'll eat that again. So that was a win. We also do things like horseback riding and zip lining, which sounds like it's a lot of fun, but those are great opportunities for the kids to take a leadership role and to also practice their communication skills. So we can have fun. So there's things like that as well. What are so many other things we've done? We've done so much.
We did the Day of the Dead cooking.
The Day of the Dead cooking, so that was very culturally saturated in that, and getting the kids to understand the culture that a lot of our neighbors participate in or involved in. I'm gonna hand it to you for Dia del Nino though.
The Dia del Nino is an event that's celebrated in Latin America just to commemorate in our lives. So that was an event that we've been trying to do. Where did we do it? We did it in Cashers last year. And it was just a great sort of family event that the kids could bring their families and their siblings, and we had piñatas and games for the kids. So it was a tremendous amount of fun, and just an event that was able to incorporate people from the program as well as the kids and their families. And so those are type of things that the program tries to do.
We collaborate a lot too with our nonprofit partners all across the plateau. We work with the IFC a lot. especially with something like that, the Dia del Nino event. So, you know, having those extra hands involved is always welcomed for sure. But yeah. That's kind of where we're at and what we're doing right now. A lot.
That's great. Thank you, Danielle, so much. All right, and now we have Fabiola from Community Care Clinic.
David Moore is also gonna be joining us.
Okay.
Carol, if she wants to, we'll stay right here. so
Actually, I'm not gonna go to the, lectern, if that's okay, since you have an owl.
Fabiola, the only thing is, they're zooming this, so
Oh,
you kind of need to be on the other side.
We need to be
of that.
there.
We need to be there,
That-
okay,
Okay.
we'll be there.
The owl.
You guys are gonna share these, cause we were kind of low on them, so.
I'm David Moore, and I would like to extend a greeting from your sisters and brothers in Christ at the Church of the Incarnation in the Highlands. I belong to the Bev Seinsheimer School of Gratitude. So I always want to begin and end by saying thank you. Bev's philosophy is you can't say thank you enough, and I agree with Bev that thank yous are important. So thank you for your grant support, financial support over the years, for volunteers who come to the community care clinic on a regular basis, and also many board members. And currently, board members from this parish include Carol. I know Wally Seinsheimer is not a member of the parish, but he's sort of a dotted line. Whether you want him or not. And then Frank Shelley. I know he's in Tuscany or Umbria.
Just got back.
Just got back. Okay, hope they didn't get flooded in Tuscany in the last couple of days. I'm chair of the Community Care Clinic, and it's been a blessing to be part of this organization the past 3 years. Prior to that, I spent several years on the board of the International Friendship Center, and probably the highlight of my tenure at the IFC was hiring Carla Magana Almanza. It took me 5 months to recruit her. So I felt like a college football coach, recruiting Carla. We would spend an hour on the phone about twice a week trying to convince her to come to the Friendship Center. On the other hand, I'll say that my 3-year tenure at the Community Care Clinic has been blessed in many of the same ways. One is, Fabiola, who's here with me, was named 2 weeks ago as our executive director after several years in a support role. Is that fair to say? So we're delighted that Fabiola is now our executive director. I've known Fabiola since early 2000s. She was 12 years old working at the summer house in the Highlands, but you're about 12 years old, I think. So we're delighted to have her. We've just recently completed strategic planning for the organization, something I'm very excited about. Most of the work was done in this room. Coincidentally, we're coming back here on the 13th, next Monday, for some additional work toward that. Our new mission statement is just simply providing quality healthcare to the underserved. That's what we do. You could spend hours talking about all of that means, but essentially we are here for those who are underserved, just as the folks from Fishes and Loaves and from the Biggies. We're here for the underserved. We are the eyes, the feet, and the hands of Christ in this community. As the Fishes and Loaves, as their experience has indicated, that the need has increased. We've seen and also an increase in need at the clinic. I think our patient visits are up about 30% this year. And so if you look at the ACA portal, what's available there, the cost of insurance, and then more recently with Medicaid expansion in North Carolina, we don't expect a measurable impact to the folks that are coming to the clinic. It's just, they are not able to access insurance at really any level, because of either documentation or residency or financial condition. We've just recently increased the level, say this right. At one point, we were at roughly 100 to 150% of the federal poverty limit as sort of the limit of income that people we would see. We've increased that to 250%, which is now standard across the state of North Carolina.
It will be within 5 years.
Yeah. What we're seeing is people who work or maybe even own a small business can't afford private medical insurance. I mean, it's several $1,000s for a family a month. So we will continue to see a lot of interest in what we have to offer. In terms of our service to the Cashers area, roughly 42% of our patients live in the Cashers area, whether it's Sapphire, Cashers, Glenville. Maybe
A little bit more,
a
maybe.
little more, and then a large percentage from the Franklin Auto area. People who live in the area may not be able to afford to live in Cashers or Highlands, but they come here to work every day. And without that labor, our lives would be a lot more complicated, if not impossible. So, from strategic planning, what we've identified as our key takeaways would be, currently we're open 2 evenings a week, Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. And the area, community leaders, our patients, other stakeholders have told us that just isn't adequate, that we need to expand our service hours and we need to expand our services. So we're going to go from 2 evenings a week to, don't give you a heart attack. Ultimately, we will operate a full-time clinic with walk-in and urgent care services, which is a huge change. We'll have to staff for that. We'll have to look for financial support to do that. We'll need more volunteers. We'll need to have a more robust referral process for secondary and tertiary care and a way to pay for those services. So you may hear more about that in the future. The other things that our patients and the population in general have told us is we need to do more health education work and more community outreach. So that's a lot, and we'll need staffing to do that. We'll need financial support to do that. But all of those things will be important for us as we expand services, and as people who come to rely on us will come to us and know that they'll be able to get quality health care and referral if necessary. So, thank you all, and thank you again for all your support. Beth would be happy with me saying that.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Now that I've had a heart attack. I'll remove this because I'm too short even with 4-inch heels to look over it. So a little bit about the clinic. We were founded in 2005 as a 501c3 clinic. Basically out of, there were people in the community who felt that there was a need for medical services for people that worked here, and they didn't have access to any other type of clinic. Dr. Heffington started the Vecinos program. He was one of the founding members of the clinic. Dr. Baumruck, John Baumrucker, if you guys are familiar with him. So there were several people in the community who came together and said, this is a need. So over the past, I can't do math. So over the past 17, 18 years, there, thank you. The clinic has grown. It used to open only one night a week. And the reason they chose nights is because it was to accommodate the working class people. And that's whenever they were able to come in the evenings. So, and we're still doing that right now. We're open Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. We start seeing patients at 4, and sometimes we're there until 10 or 10:30 once the last patient is seen. Because of COVID, we started doing less walk-ins and more appointments. That way we could do full screening of people. And we stayed open during COVID, all except for 1 week. There were days where, you know, I had my marshmallow suit on, and we saw patients in the parking lot. You know, especially patients that had COVID that, you know, needed to be tested. So, you know, that was one of the things that was important for us, is for these people to have access without having maybe to go to the ER unless it got extremely severe. One of the interesting things that came from COVID was that a lot of people that did end up going to the ER found out that they had either hypertension or diabetes that they didn't know that they had before. And so we ended up getting a lot of referrals from the hospital to become the primary caregivers for these patients that now had to deal with a chronic illness because they knew they had it. So that's one of the main things that we do at the clinic, is we help people that don't have primary care physicians with the management of their chronic illnesses. We have a diabetic educator that comes twice a month and works with our diabetic and hypertensive patients. We are able to provide free insulin to patients. We work directly with the pharmaceutical companies to be able to either get the insulin directly to the patient or to get samples so that we're able to provide this service free of cost, which, if anybody's familiar with the cost of insulin, it can be thousands and thousands of dollars. And even the one that's low cost is hard to obtain. We have a pharmacy in-house. We're able to provide medications to people. We work with 2 pharmacies in the area. One is Cashers Valley and the other one is Highlands Pharmacy. If there's a medication we don't have on site, they're able to give it to us at cost plus a small percentage. So that's a huge, huge help. And we also are able to get a lot of really important medications through programs like Direct Relief and AmeriCares. They send us medication free of cost every month. And, you know, it's probably about $500,000 worth of medication that we get from these other organizations. So this is an organization that is vital to a lot of the people in this community. And we get told this so often: if you were not here, I would probably be dead. So that's one of the reasons that we feel expanding the services is going to be so important. And we're going to do it incrementally. So we're hoping that in the next few months, we're going to expand services on Tuesdays and Thursdays to accommodate more walk-ins. And then eventually, you know, open additional days until we're open the 5 days a week. Just because there is no primary care option for a lot of these workers. They end up going to the ER, which, if you don't have insurance, is thousands and thousands of dollars. And sometimes they only get an Advil or they get a Tylenol. And so they've accumulated all of these financial costs for something that, you know, honestly could have been dealt with an antibiotic, or if they had just been seen by a provider, it wouldn't have gone to that level. So that's one of the reasons that we consider this expansion so important. And I'm thankful to David and Carol and everybody on the board that's really, really making this happen. And again, we're thankful for organizations, the civic organizations and organizations like this church that have allowed us to continue to make such a huge impact in the community. The primary thing that we do is primary care. So like I said, management for chronic illnesses, but also, you know, seeing patients that have an ear infection, that have a sinus infection, maybe have a broken digit. We had a guy the other day that was working at one of the clubs. He bent over and a stick went directly into his ear. Dr. Baumrucker said he had never seen a perforated eardrum so severe. And there's really not anything that you can do, but he needed to be told how to take care of it, what to do, make sure not to get any water. So things like that that are important for the the people that work up here, we see a lot of people from the clubs, from Wade Hampton, from High Hampton, from Old Edwards Inn. So we're a service provider for these people that don't have anywhere else to go. And, you know, we feel that we're a welcoming place, that they know that they can call us and they'll be welcome there, no matter what their income level is. And it was important for us this past year to raise the income level, because even at the raised income level, it's still hard to afford. It's still hard to afford healthcare. So we thank you again. For me, it's been an honor to be part of this organization. I was part of it in 2005 as a volunteer and have maintained a connection with it throughout the years as a volunteer. So it was wonderful for me to actually be on staff and now to work with such a wonderful group to head it up. And so hopefully you'll be seeing us more. We have an event in Cashers on Wednesday where we're gonna be collaborating to give free flu vaccines to people, as well as doing blood pressure and blood sugar checks. So we're gonna try to be doing more outreach events in the community, because sometimes that's the only way where people can get to, and then they'll find out, hey, I have high blood sugar, or hey, my blood pressure is through the roof. And we can teach people there, this is what you need to be looking for. Because as you know, especially with blood pressure, sometimes you don't have any symptoms. And so education is going to be a big component. Started that push, so, you know, we'll probably be using this church in the future. So just know I'll probably be asking. But we're always welcoming volunteers. If you guys know any retired nurses or any doctors, or anybody with a medical profession that wants to volunteer, but we also use front desk volunteers, people that help answer the phone. So if you have any knowledge or want to reach out, just let me know. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, Fabiola, thank you so much. Thank you. And Karen and Danielle, we've enjoyed having you with us today and hearing all about your wonderful ministry in our community.
Thank you for having us.
And you're invited to church. And coffee hour to follow.